Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this Wednesday, February 25th, City Council meeting to order. Councilmember Nelson, if you can lead us in the pledge.
Absolutely, Mayor. Please rise.
We had nothing to report from our closed session. Can we have our roll call, please?
Councilmember Karpinski-Costa. Present. Councilmember Nelson.
Present.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Middleton.
Present.
And Mayor Lopez Toff.
Here. Next item, please.
This meeting of the Citrus Heights City Council is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV Uverse cable systems. It is also live streamed at citrusheights.net. Today's meeting replays on Monday, March 2nd at 9 a.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed on the city's YouTube channel.
Thank you very much, Danielle. All right. Pardon me, I have quite a few pieces of paper in front of me. Okay, if we can have approval of the agenda.
Move approval.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those approving?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, next item, please.
Next item is presentation number 4, proclamation of the City of Citrus Heights proclaiming March 1st through March 7th, 2026 as Women in Construction Week.
All right, I have given this proclamation to Vice Mayor Middleton.
Thank you, Mayor. We have members of the Sacramento chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction joining us this evening to accept this proclamation. And I'd like to welcome Stephanie and Melissa to the podium, please. I'm going to read this, and then we'll take a photo. And, well, I'll read this, we'll have some comments all around, and then we'll take a photo.
Okay.
I'll say, okay, whereas the National Association of Women in Construction, Sacramento chapter number 63, has distinguished itself for 60-plus years as the voice of women in construction in the Sacramento region, and the work done by the Sacramento chapter of NAWIC has benefited the Sacramento region through community development and educational programs, and the Sacramento chapter of NAWIC has unceasingly promoted the employment and advancement of women in the construction industry, and the construction community represented by the Sacramento chapter of NAWIC has been a driving force in fostering community development through renovation and beautification projects, promotion of skilled trade careers, a positive vision for the future, and has sought to achieve the successful results of the Sacramento region and surrounding areas in a cooperative spirit with other organizations. And Women in Construction Week highlights women as a vital component of the construction industry and raises awareness about the opportunities available and the growing role of women in the industry. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the City Council of the City of Citrus Heights hereby proclaims the week of March the 1st through 7th, 2026 as Women in Construction Week and recognizes the National Association of Women in Construction, Sacramento chapter number 63, and its many dedicated members for its steadfast work on behalf of and in support of women in construction. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, would you like to make some remarks?
Well, I just found out right before I got here that I'd actually have to be accepting this. So I'm the vice president of the Sacramento chapter. This is my first year as a board member, but I also head up, I'm on the PD&E committee, and I am the chair for the Girl Scouts committee. So we try to do a lot around, we volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. We try to encourage high school girls to get into the trades and know that they have options open to them. I myself am a project manager for commercial mechanical, and I've been in construction since roughly 2013. So I think it's great, and actually, had I known when I was younger what the options were for me, I probably wouldn't have gone to a four-year college. I would have gone directly into the trades. So we're just trying to let young girls and women know that there's a place where you can network and find friends and solace and place to vent and talk and share ideas. And we have a lot of allies, men, that are wonderful too. So I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Wonderful. Any comments from our fellow council members?
I do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. So what kind of vocation are you in for the trades?
I work for commercial mechanical, so we
Commercial
do
mechanical.
plumbing, mechanical, underground.
Do you guys do any outreach to the schools or?
We do actually. We do job shadows for one school in the Sac City School District, where it's usually between 15 and 20 girls, and we try to get them together twice a year. So it cycles through the different juniors and seniors. And then we do a job site tour, which is basically we reach out to different industries. This year, actually, it's tomorrow for our spring session. It's at HGA downtown. And these companies come up with an agenda, and it's usually about, 6 hours long, and it's introducing this group of girls to the opportunities that they have. It could be, in architectural firms, it could be in interior design, it could be in the trades themselves. I myself work for mechanical and project management, so it's, there's many different industries that they don't realize are considered construction and are open to them.
So for my day job, I recruit for apprenticeships for manufacturing. And number one, very welcome here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And number two is, I just see a lot of young people that have a very unclear path, and the more information they can get, the better off we all are, because somebody has to fix their air conditioners or make parts. There's all different kinds of things that young people just don't look at they kind of think, oh, I'm on a college career track. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get an education. With the real answer to that is only 30% of the people who start college finish.
Yes.
And then they build in a bunch of college debt, and these young people need to have exposure to the trade so they know that that's an option. So
Agreed.
thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for accepting the proclamation. In consideration of Councilmember Schaefer's health, we are going to take our photo a different way tonight.
Can I just say something first?
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for coming, because I think, that we need to design a better hard hat for women, and something more, but also to let you know that May 14 is our event called Tools of the Trade.
Okay.
And it happens at the park that's right up the street. And I want to make sure that you and your staff and your girls know about coming
Okay.
and seeing the types of jobs, machinery that's available to do the work. Anyway, that's the thing our city puts on every year.
That would be wonderful.
So you can check
Yeah.
the city website for the time and the actual time of it, because I
Okay.
don't have that in my calendar, just the date.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank
It's in
you.
May. It's nice weather.
That was a good reminder. Thank you very much.
Okay, good, thanks.
So as I was mentioning, we will be taking our photos a little bit differently this evening, where we will invite you to stand here, and we will stand at the dais for you. And if we can have our photographer take the picture of you with the proclamation.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Next item is public comment. Members of the public may address the city council during the meeting. We ask that you please fill out a speaker sheet and give it to the city clerk. When you're called upon to speak, please step forward to the podium and state your name for the record. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and the mayor has the discretion to adjust the allotted time. There is a countdown display that will flash red at the end of the allotted time. Consistent with the Brown Act, the council is prohibited from engaging in a discussion or taking action on any item not appearing on the agenda. And for this portion of public comment, I have 3. So I'd like to call up first Kathy Morris.
Good evening, council and city. I am Kathy Morris, and I'm current president of REACH, which, of course, as you know, is the Residents Empowerment Association of Citrus Heights. And I'm here this evening to remind everybody about the community dinner on March 9th. That is exactly a week from Monday, and it is a community dinner. It's a potluck dinner. It's fun. The concept of this is to encourage people to participate. Our city is best when people get involved. And so what we're looking to help is help people get involved. We've got 2 speakers. One is Senator Ashby, and she got her start in involvement, like many of you did, in their neighborhood associations. And then she went to city council, and now she's in the Senate. Our other speaker is Brad Spires, and he is very much involved in participation, as Big Day of Service is. So these are the people that really know how to help us participate. They also know that our city is founded, and all of our neighborhoods and all of our communities is people participation. So the dinner is founded to have fun. We're going to have a good time for people to sit and visit with each other, or to meet new friends, or to meet maybe someone they hadn't met before in the city council. But it will be fun, and we encourage everyone to come. No charge, it's free. We're asking for RSVPs only to make sure we have enough seating capacity for everybody. Though we've got flyers in the back, and also on the city website, there is a banner where you can register there. So we're really, like I say, it's the speakers and the community involves participation, but the dinner really involves fun. So I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call Peter Frederick.
Peter Friedrich. In October of 2023, this council issued a proclamation at the request of the Hindu American Foundation, part of a coordinated campaign that HAF ran across Greater Sacramento, not a spontaneous honor. HAF had hired a California regional director just months earlier and stationed her in Sacramento with a specific assignment: collect proclamations from every city she could reach. She collected yours alongside 6 others from Davis, West Sacramento, Sacramento, Folsom, Rancho Cordova, and Rockland. HAF's own blog identifies the organizations she brought to every ceremony: HSS, Seva International, and others. HSS is the American branch of India's RSS, a paramilitary network whose members have organized pogroms against religious minorities, carried out lynchings in the streets, and whose longest-serving leader praised Nazi Germany's treatment of Jews as a model for India to follow. India's own government has banned the RSS 3 times. Seva International is the RSS's charitable front. And earlier that same year, in February, HSS's Folsom chapter brought your current Vice Mayor, Porsche Middleton, into their event as a guest speaker. By October, HAF had your proclamation. What happened to that proclamation after it left this chamber is why I am here. SB 509 would have equipped California law enforcement to detect and respond when a foreign government targets people living in this state, drafted after the Department of Justice charged an Indian intelligence operative with orchestrating the assassination of an American citizen on American soil, endorsed by the California Police Chiefs Association, passed both chambers without a single dissenting vote, and HAF killed it. Their own statement boasts they spearheaded a coalition through the governor's office, and Governor Newsom vetoed the bill on October 13th of last year, 2 years after this council helped build HAF's credibility. Congress's own research service classifies HAF as a Hindu nationalist organization, and the government whose agenda HAF advances is the same government the DOJ charged with plotting to murder someone on our soil. HAF took your proclamation out of this chamber and put it on a list of 7 cities, then converted that list into lobbying power against a bill that your own police department needed. And this council had every reason to know. In 2021, neighboring Roseville presented a proclamation to HSS at a council meeting. When residents raised concerns, the controversy hit the local press. 3 Californian cities rescinded similar honors, and Roseville quietly rewrote its entire proclamation policy, banning ceremonial documents for organizations linked to groups that advocate violence, for matters in countries outside the U.S., and for anything involving political controversy. HAF came here anyway. They collect your proclamations, convert them into lobbying power, and spend it against legislation that protects the people in your city. If they come back, and they will, I am asking this council to say no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is a written public comment that I'll read. This written comment was submitted by Alfred Sanchez. The holy month of Ramadan is upon us again. To all who celebrate around the world, Ramadan Mubarak. That concludes public comment.
Thank you. I know we have several items of interest to the rest of our attendees here, so I'm going to simply remind you that if you have a public comment, if you've not already submitted your public comment sheet, please do so to our clerk, Danielle Jones. And just for your information, because we have so many speakers anticipated, we are going to prioritize Citrus Heights resident comments first. So if you are not a resident of Citrus Heights, know that we will hear your public comment, but we will prioritize Citrus Heights residents' comments first. Next item, please.
Next item is comments by council members and regional board updates.
All right, Councilmember Karpinski-Costa.
I love February. It's so slow a month because it's cold and rainy and nobody has any meetings. But I did go to the mosquito meeting to let you know that we will be resuming our dead bird surveillance in April, along with our Aedes aegypti trapping. And at the last meeting, we did renew our contract with an outfit called Mosquito Mate, which provides us with boy mosquitoes that are infected with a little bacteria. And when they mate with the girls that are the native girls, the eggs don't hatch. So we released them last year in Natomas, and they are specific for the Aedes aegypti, which is the day-biting mosquito that we want to know about if you see them. And Citrus Heights has had a couple of, in fact, my property had one on it. So it's kind of, they're around, and we want to nip them in the bud, so to speak. So we looked at the data from last year's releases. They just released lots and lots of, boys don't bite. So when you see a mosquito, they aren't necessarily the biting mosquito, but there's like 10,000 a week going out. So there's a lot of mosquitoes being released. And the results of that was that it did, that in combination with our regular larval treatments that we use to treat mosquito larvae, because the boys obviously is for adult control, it was good enough numbers that warranted another budget item for this year to retry it again and see how the generation is for this year. So anyhow, I'll update you as we go along with the West Nile virus mosquitoes, but so far, so good. You got your winter mosquitoes, which are more annoying right now. So if you do see some rain, like today we had a little rain, just drain it out of there and hopefully you'll be protected. And that's the only thing I did was mosquitoes. And then some personal doctor things, but been busy. Otherwise, mosquito.
Thank you. Councilmember Schaefer.
Thank you, Mayor. So I did have a RT, so I'm trying to maintain my schedule as best I can. Had an RT board meeting. The big issue there was a closed session I can't discuss, but I did also attend the Capital Corridor, a Joint Powers Authority meeting. Really, that organization is going very, very well. Very few transit organizations can say what they can say. Their rates are lower. They've gone through and lowered their rates, and ridership is up by 21%. So they're doing an amazing job there. Certainly, they have some service issues that have seem to have a lot of trespasser events that tend to take the line out for a period of time. But certainly, I've taken that train multiple times. Just recently took the train up to Reno from Roseville. It's a beautiful ride. I certainly encourage you to take the train. out of Roseville, or down to the Bay Area. It's really fantastic. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Let's go with Councilmember Nelson.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I will make it easy on us. I have nothing to report tonight.
Vice Mayor?
Okay, I had one meeting, it was with STA, and that was on the 20th, it was Friday, and we discussed the I Street Bridge financing, where folks were trying to figure out how they're going to finance the bridge that connects West Sacramento to Sacramento City. They came up with a couple ideas where it will not impact our jurisdiction's allotment of funding, and so that's going to most likely move forward. There's still a little bit more research to be done on that. And there was also a robust discussion about the future of SASFA, and that might sound familiar to my colleagues because that is the Sacramento Abandoned Vehicle Service Authority. And that also included a potential consideration of a November 2026 ballot measure. So more research to be done about that, but I should have more details next month.
Wow, everybody's had such a quiet week. I feel like I've been running ragged. On the 12th, I had my Leadership Citrus Heights meeting. That is really notable because we will be unveiling a mural and an AED that will be installed at Rush Park. Please put on your calendars if you're interested in coming to the event, May 12th at 5:30. We'll have more details to be published soon. I attended a ribbon cutting at a new business, Juice Time. That is in next to the Starbucks on Sunrise and Madison. Very, very interesting concept there, fresh juices. Ribbon cutting on the same day, so we're running to two events. 1 year anniversary of Dark Heart Brewery. If you have not gone yet, I absolutely love their gosh, what do they call it? Sodas and seltzers, yes. I attended my neighborhood association meeting, Chasen, on the 17th. I also attended on the 17th Citrus Heights Chamber Access Luncheon, where we had DA Tien Ho speak. What a dynamic speaker. Very nice to see our local officials come and share what their offices are doing in service to Citrus Heights and the surrounding communities. On the 19th, I was able to attend the SACOG, the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, on behalf of Councilmember Schaefer. Thank you for giving me an opportunity for exposure. And that was really an interesting program. They were talking about housing options in the area. Very nice presentation in that regard. Because I'm on the chamber board, I attended my board meeting on the same day. Later that day, I attended a SAC library meeting, where we had our mid-year budget review. And for those of you who understand budgets, they're ever-moving targets. You always have your plans, and then things happen. We have extraordinarily good staff members for the budget for the library. And we had a lot of repairs and capital improvements this year and next year. So you'll be seeing a lot of improvements at your local libraries. And finally, to my pleasure, I was able to participate in a career panel at Rio Americano, invited by a close friend of mine. And, you know, you can be warmed in your hearts about the future of our young people. They're interested in college, careers, trades. They have so many very open and interested young people. You can absolutely have hope for our future. And that was my last 2 weeks. Next item, please.
Next item is the consent calendar. Item 5 is approval of minutes. Item 6 is a second reading for an ordinance repealing Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 5, Construction Board of Appeals, and adding Chapter 18, Article 31, Building Code Board of Appeals. And item 7 is proposed amendments to the Citrus Heights Parking Violation Fine Schedule, AB 413, daylighting.
I'll move approval.
All right, we have a motion.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Excuse me. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item, please.
Next item is regular calendar item number 8. Options for residential solid waste recycling collection services, procurement, results of 60-day negotiations. The recommendation is that the city council either adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an amended and restated residential solid waste and recycling collection services agreement with Allied Waste Services of North America LLC, subject to results of a public hearing regarding proposed rate increases, or direct staff to issue a request for proposal for the residential solid waste and recycling collection services contract.
All right, before we get started here, I just want to let everybody know how we're going to run this particular item. We're going to hear a report from our staff. We are going to take a 5-minute recess, and then we will take public comment, just to have continuity both in the reporting and the comments, with a little bit of a break in between. So just hold on to your seats, and we'll get started with this particular item. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Lopez Taft. This is Mary Poole with the General Services Department and council members. Good evening. And Carrie Baxter here with me from R3 Consulting. And we'll go ahead and get started. Republic Services, thank you, Carrie, or otherwise known as Allied Waste, the contract for residential waste collection, recycling, and organic services expires December 31st in 2027. In November, we came before the City Council with options to consider for procurement. At that time, the council directed staff to proceed with the 60-day negotiation period with Republic Services and return and present to you the outcomes of that negotiation process. So the purpose of tonight's presentation is to report the results from that negotiation process, to receive direction regarding proceeding with an amendment with Republic Services for a 10-year term, or to issue an RFP and come back to you in May to have the results of that process. In addition, we wanted to get some direction from you related to some programmatic changes, specifically related to the neighborhood cleanup program and street sweeping. So the staff recommendation before you includes 2 options. One is related to approving an amendment with Republic Services and authorizing the city manager to execute that amendment, or in the alternative, directing staff to proceed with an RFP process. As an overview of what we'll be covering tonight, we're going to talk briefly about what was included in the negotiation process, what we focused on and the approach that we took, some organizational and program improvements that we wanted to include if we were going to do an amendment. As mentioned, additional considerations and service changes specifically related to street sweeping and the neighborhood cleanup program, what the proposed rates would look like, and how those rates would compare to other jurisdictions locally. And then just a summary of the outcomes of the negotiation, a request for city council action and direction on those specific program items, and then just resting on the staff recommendation to get your direction. So the negotiation process started right after we got direction from you in November to enter into a 60-day negotiation process. During that time, from November through January, we held 6 formal meetings with the hauler, received a cost proposal, ended the negotiations, and presented some of those outcomes to the ad hoc committees. And tonight, we're here to update the city council with the final recommendations. As we went through the negotiation process, we really focused on the areas where we had heard from you and from the community, which were important for us to pursue. One of those was maintaining the high customer satisfaction that has been in place with Republic Services and their service reliability, which is consistent with the community feedback that we heard. We were also very interested in preserving the regional rate competitiveness. Citrus Heights has enjoyed the lowest rates in garbage services I think, bar none in the region, and we wanted to make sure that we continue to have that reputation. We also wanted to continue to look at the neighborhood cleanup program and see if there were opportunities for some additional refinements to address the blight and traffic safety concerns, yet still preserve the community value to that program. And then looking at any other opportunities where maybe we could achieve some cost efficiencies or do some service trade-offs. We also talked about including residential street sweeping, and we wanted to do some cost comparisons with that versus in the contract with Republic Services versus contracting out separately. And then the feasibility of a local household hazardous waste drop-off event, which came up from Councilmember Karpinski Costa, as well as from the community. We heard that many times in the flash votes that people really liked those drop-off events. So we wanted to see how could we get that back. So continuing along that line, we looked at, okay, we have a program. There aren't any complaints about the program as a whole, other than adding the HHW drop-off event. So what would it look like if we just pretty much kept the status quo and did some fine-tuning to do some operational and administrative improvements? So that was kind of the option one. The goal there was just a minimal change to the current rates. And then we have option two, which had a number of different variations of looking at the neighborhood cleanup program. Maybe what could we do if we did some refinements there, and what kind of an impact would that have on the overall customer rates? So we found that if we reduce the neighborhood cleanup frequency from 3 to 2, which has been one of the recommendations floating around, that we could actually achieve some cost savings for the customer rate. Not quite as much of a cost savings, but bearing worth consideration would be reducing the cubic yards. So right now, the customers are allowed to set out up to 10 cubic yards. We could save a little money and save a lot of headache in traffic impacts and blight by reducing that yardage from 10 to 5, which is also more consistent with what happens around the region. 5 cubic yards is more the standard. Citrus Heights has the premier program. In addition, in either option, the HHW, we were able to achieve a cost-neutral edition of the HHW drop-off event, so that shows up no matter which option that you select. In addition, we looked at the inclusion of street sweeping, as I mentioned, in addition to getting better costs in the Republic Services agreement or in the garbage agreement. We could also coordinate it better with recycling and garbage service rates, the neighborhood cleanup routes, et cetera. And that would result in a maximum $1.19 per month charge. I would want to just kind of say as a caveat, the rates that you're going to see are the estimates tonight. They won't go up, but they probably will go down a few pennies or even 10 cents here and there, depending on what is the ultimate package that's selected. With the neighborhood cleanup shift from 3 to 2 times per month and addition of street sweeping, there would be the cost savings and comparison would end up being about 42 cents a month over the base rate of the status quo option. And then, as I mentioned, we want to do some organizational improvements. Whenever we do an amended contract, we always want to take advantage of what do we need to memorialize in a contract, how can we make some tweaks to make it better. All of these items listed before you are already happening with Republic Services contract. However, they're not solidified within the contract terms. So we want to make sure that we recognize our commitment to locally staffed customer service support center. And so Republic has told us that they are committed to fully staffing their customer service unit with locally staffed personnel, but they recognize that sometimes that's not always possible. So contractually, the obligation would be 50% of the staff would be based in the Sacramento region. Our performance measures where we have certain expectations about how Republic Services responds to our service requests, those would be more clarified and solidified in the contract. Republic Services is extremely responsive to the city's calls when we have illegal dumping or some other matter that we need them to take care of right away. but we want to define that a little better in the contract going forward, and the same thing with the customer service manager. In addition, there have been a number of program and technology improvement, which we recommend would be included either way. That citywide HHW drop-off event, as we mentioned, but we also want to make sure that folks know we're retaining the option to take your material to the county facilities year-round. So that remains an option, and then we add the local drop-off event. We have some website enhancements that we'd like to see. Currently, we're using a third party that works behind the scenes where we get information from Republic Services and from our street sweeping contractor. We feed it to a third party. They populate the information on our website, and we'd like to clean that up. This would be a cost-neutral benefit that Republic Services would implement. Using AI cameras, this is a little new technology. It's not quite ready to implement yet, but at the onset of the contract term, they would want to roll it out, and that would allow more efficient use of staff time, better results from contamination auditing, using AI cameras to watch the material when it's going into the truck and see if we can catch some of that contamination. They would continue to use their own staff to review those, desk audit of those reports, and then work with our customers to do the education to get them on board with proper sorting of their materials. If we were to implement that, we could get some additional cost savings of about 10% or 10 cents a month for our customer rates. Similarly, shifting from every 2-month billing to every 3-month billing, we could achieve another 10%, 10 cents on our customer rates. And this is something that Republic Services offered as an option for the city to consider. It is done in Placer County jurisdictions. It's done in the Bay Area. It hasn't quite caught on in the Sacramento region, but it is an option. And then the Alternative Fleet Pilot Project. Republic has committed to implementing a rear wheel vehicle pilot program in the next 18 to 24 months. And this is in response to the city's interest in our road impacts. The big trucks have a big impact on our roads, and we're trying to find ways to reduce that impact. So this is one of the ways that Republic Services is offering to help combat those impacts. So back to the neighborhood cleanup program. So really looking at the options of reducing neighborhood cleanups from 3 times to 2 times per year. This is a staff recommendation. This would allow the schedule to be more flexible to avoid holidays, weather impacts, and coordinate with a lot of construction that's going to be going on our streets, especially in the foreseeable future with our road resurfacing projects. Street sweeping and service day coordination could be much more easily attained with this reduction. Similarly, reducing those traffic safety impacts and reducing the blight by limiting the amount of time we have that material on the street. Now you can pretty much go somewhere in the city at any time, any day in the city, you will find our neighborhood cleanup program operating at its heyday. Even though this would reduce the level of service to some degree, it still preserves the program benefits. It still is a very robust program that the community values and that would be preserved even with this reduction. Another option is to reduce the pile size from 10 cubic yards to 5 cubic yards, which similarly, less material on the street, less blight, less traffic safety impacts, and more consistent with neighboring jurisdiction programs. This measure would also lead to less abuse of the program. In today's program, we probably have a fair amount of residents who may take advantage of the program and line it up with their business needs and maybe dispose of some of those materials through the neighborhood cleanup program. So this would probably be able to put a lid on that to some extent. And again, it still preserves the program benefits. The other big ticket item is the street sweeping. So the way that it's currently structured, the contract pricing would be run through Republic Services. They would get obtain the contract, manage the contract, contract, they would provide the customer service, and they would pass through the contract cost to the city, which would be incorporated into the residential customer rates. And this would only be the residential portion of that rate, of that contract amount, which is about 65% of the sweeping contract. Residents on arterials and private streets would still would pay, like everyone else, the rate, which is $1.19 a month or less. And everyone benefits from clean streets. So that's kind of the philosophy or the thought process on that. And again, administration and customer service would be provided by Republic Services. Currently, that's provided through the city, and they're not suggesting any type of markup or anything. They'll just add that on to their regular administration and customer service. As I mentioned, the residential portion would be billed to the customer, but the arterial and on-call portion would be billed directly to the city. So same pricing, the city would benefit from that better pricing that Republic Services could achieve, but the residents would not pay that. Some of the cost benefits achieved by including street sweeping in the service agreement are, one of the big ones is disposal. Because just Republic Services has a landfill, they can subsidize some of those disposal costs. And currently, our sweeper is paying about 15% of their costs that they incur are related to disposal. So it's a big amount of money. Also, for the pricing and economies of scale, Republic Services has a number of different street sweepers operating under their umbrella that they could include as one of our operators. Currently, we're using special revenues to pay for our street sweeping program. Those revenues would instead go back into the maintenance and infrastructure programs that they were intended to fund. And if it isn't included in the neighborhood or in the garbage contract, then the city would need to go out with a request for proposals to start with a new street sweeping contract in 2028. Our contract with our current provider also expires at the end of 2027. The value-added benefits that are provided in the current agreement would continue to apply: the community outreach and education, events, the facility and public spaces collection. Republic Services provides collection at all our trails. Any public container that we have out in the community, they have their folks go in and empty for us. They have the community compost distribution. We would add some new equipment to help with that distribution. So Republic has offered to provide a skid steer to help us move compost and get it to where it needs to go, help load up some of these vehicles where currently they're loading them up in 5-gallon buckets and shovels and such. They've also offered a utility truck for illegal dumping and beautification crew response. So that would be similar to just F-150 type truck, which would complement our beautification crew flatbed truck. So we could either split up our crew to go respond to different needs within the community, or they could just tag team to respond at a single location. All other existing programs, outreach, and services would continue. This next slide is just showing a snapshot of the rates today. We did the best we could to make them be apples to apples. The jurisdictions in Placer County are a little different because they have the two mixed waste processing two-cart system, but we wanted to show them just for comparison. And the green column is the current rate. So today's rate in Citrus Heights is $34.20. As you can see, it's the lowest in the region. And the city of Sacramento comes in with the highest. The proposed rates under this negotiated proposal are a one-time CPI and market adjustment to the 2027 rate. So currently, if we were just chugging along at the same rate and we were just able to extend the contract, then the contract provides for a 3.5% maximum CPI each year. This proposal looks at a 3.5% CPI plus a 2.5% market adjustment. And that market adjustment is intended to cover the costs that have risen since the last amendment over the life of the term of that contract. So that's results in a 6% increase at the beginning of 2028. The proposal related to the CPI is to max it out at 4.25%. A lot of local jurisdictions are now having a maximum of 5% as a CPI for the garbage industry. We held it at 4.25. They also requested a rollover to the next year. So if we have a situation where year one, we have a 5% increase, year two is a 4% increase, our cap is at 4.25. So we would let them have an additional 0.25% in year two to make it up. And that would be it. The next year, we'd start back at 4.25%. So I know that's a little confusing, so I wanted to give a little example on that one. And then the franchise fee, we're not recommending any changes, 10% franchise fee. This slide here shows the 10-year annual percent change over time of the CPI water, sewer, trash, which is what is the industry standard. It's been running around 4% for the last 10 years, but the last 4 years, it's been over 4%. The last 3 years, it's been over 5%. Just for comparison sake. This slide shows the variance of the potential rates. So the baseline, if we were just to chug along at the same rate, this is just for comparison reasons. We can't do that because our contract ends and we have to do something different. But it would be $36.64. The proposed option that Republic Services has on the table, no changes, just the HHW event and some of the operational improvements, is $37.52. We could still get that a little lower with our, other nuances that we have. $36.41 for some of the neighborhood cleanup changes. We could get it down a little bit. And then the regional average is around $44. Similarly, coming in with the street sweeping, the rates would be around $38.71 if we made no changes to the neighborhood cleanup program, and somewhere around $37.60 if we did make changes. Putting that all in perspective regionally, you see our numbers are in orange. I won't go through them individually, but depending on the nuances of how we structure the service package, we're still right there at the lowest, or competing with Rockland for the lowest rates in the region. And then just getting more into the weeds a little bit, the high impact options, which really are revolving around the neighborhood cleanup program, reducing from 3 to 2, that's a 77-cent impact to the good on the rate, and the 14 cents for the reducing the volume from 10 cubic yards to 5 cubic yards. So those net out, I think, at 91 cents. And then the adding residential street sweeping is $1.19. And again, that's probably going to come down after we do some more working on that. So the staff is really leaning toward adding the street sweeping and reducing the neighborhood cleanup from 3 to 2 times as the staff recommendation, which would be a 42% over the base rate that Republic is proposing. So in general, the outcomes of this negotiation that you charged us with, we are coming back with rates that continue to be the lowest or nearly lowest in the region, maintaining the high customer service levels and responsiveness, adding some efficiencies and customer service improvements, adding the cost-neutral HHW event, not changing anything with the franchise fee, and then adding the additional benefits from the continued added value services and community support. With street sweeping, staff believes we can achieve some significant savings versus contracting out separately. The currently programmed special revenues can be put back into the roads and storm drain maintenance and capital improvement projects. As mentioned before, the coordination would be improved, could be almost neutral to rates if we do the neighborhood cleanup adjustments, and could have a relatively small impact on the overall rate with just the neighborhood cleanup reduction to 2 times per year. So these are the neighborhood cleanup options, and we've talked about them, so I won't go through them in detail. So here we are at the council direction point, and I know you wanted to pause at the end of the presentation, but ultimately, we're looking for specific direction from the city council. Do we or do we not include street sweeping in the customer rates? Specific direction from you whether or not to reduce the neighborhood cleanup to 2 collections per year, whether or not to reduce the pile size to 5 cubic yards per collection. The addition of the local HHW event, we're looking for an affirmation that that is what you want, and whether or not you want to shift from the bi-monthly to the every three months billing. And should the direction be to go out to RFP, which the next slide is asking for your direction either way, we would still want to include these elements as part of our RFP process. So this is a more global approach to our recommendations.
Mary, thank you so much for all of your hard work. I know this has been a lot on your plate. You've managed all the meetings, the negotiations. And do we have any additional information from our consultant at all?
I think she covered everything.
All right, fantastic. Before we go to break, I do want to cover any questions, points of clarification from our council members, and I'll start with our vice mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, fantastic job of getting all this information together and putting it in a setup that we can really understand. My question was, I don't know if I missed it, but the rear wheel vehicle thing, was there a cost associated with that?
No, it's a pilot project, so what we have been advised by Republic Services is that this doesn't exist at this time. They're working with the manufacturers to come up with a pilot vehicle that they can then deploy into Citrus Heights and do some testing on it. It would be one vehicle, and so they have to develop it, design it, build it, and then it will come to Citrus Heights.
Okay, and then my last question, we were talking about maybe reducing the pile size. I forgot what was like 14 cents, 11 cents, something like that. Just ballpark if you know it. If you don't, a guesstimate's fine. But how many people would you say out of our residents actually abuse, that size limit?
I don't think the abuse is rampant.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Karpinski-Costa had a question first.
I have several, thank you. Road impacts that they make, we kind of use our road money to fix them. What's their franchise fee that they pay? 10% of what? 10% of their total contract price?
Yes.
They pay us?
Yes.
To cover road impacts?
Right now.
Is that what we use it for?
I think I'll let the city attorney speak to that.
Is that what we use it for? The
franchise fee, yeah.
Or does it just go in the main pot, the franchise fee?
Let me clarify, the franchise fee goes into the general fund, and what it's used for is what it can legally be used for.
Okay, so
I'll
that's
say that.
just, okay. Next is, I got my bill, and I have an administration fee in addition. So together that adds up, and so the administration fee goes up the same CP. So
Yeah.
they don't just do the raise of the garbage rate, they raise
Right.
the administration cost as well? Okay,
And the administration, that fee covers city, that comes to the city. So that covers the solid waste, customer service, our department.
all right, but that fee goes up.
And
every
it
year,
also pays for the HHW facility use. So
Ah.
anytime anyone goes to the county facility and drops off their household hazardous waste, they take your ID, they log everything that you bring them, and they send a bill to the city, and we use those funds to pay that.
Would we save any money? Are you talking about billing every 3 months. If there was such a thing as auto pay, because it's the same bill every month, so I don't mind paying auto pay when the bill doesn't change, and I have to make sure, like SMUD, I gotta look at the bill and make sure they're not ripping me off. But the Republic, it's the same fee every month. Why couldn't, there's nothing on my bill that says sign up for auto pay. Would we save money if they didn't have to pay for a stamp?
We could certainly look into that to see if that could be another adjustment.
I pay auto pay water, and that's not even, that's a flexible amount, and I trust Hillary that he's not screwing me over as well as I am.
I use auto pay to pay that
But
bill.
on my bill, there's nothing that tells me how I sign up for it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't put my credit card,
I signed up for it years ago. I couldn't tell you how to.
I don't like to
do
put my
that.
credit card online, so I want to just have something I fill out that gives them my bank account number, and they can just bill my bank account, that's fine. All right, that's another question I
And
had.
Just to add to the, if we switch to the recommendation, should the council choose to go with an amended contract with Republic Services, it would still be subject to a rate hearing that we would, finalize all of the little tiny changes that would happen and come back with a final rate, which would be less than what's on the table now, not necessarily by much, but that would go to you for a public hearing, that the.
Well, it seems to me if a lot of people signed up and they saved postage, that it would reduce the rate for everybody. I mean, you're talking pennies in reduction, but it's still pennies. Then I had one more. Wait a second. You had a thing on your chart that said compost distribution equipment. What is that?
So that would be the skid steer. So a piece of equipment that would help to move compost from the compost pile into a truck, or just to help get that material, like if we're doing a.
Does somebody operate that?
It would be the city's equipment.
So we
would
make an
operate.
appointment, say I'm bringing my truck and I want you to dump the compost in it?
Something to that effect, yes.
Okay, well, did you guys know we had this? I didn't know. I just found out we had the compost pile over at the community garden. You can go and take all the compost you want for your garden. So I just found that out and availed ourselves during that nice way. Now, the other thing is, if you reject the negotiated price and we go to an RFP, what's the likelihood we're going to get the same rate?
I'm going to let Carrie respond to that.
I can't say for sure what other proposers are going to provide, but it would be more fairly shown a comparison between each of the haulers, because we'd have firm services that we're requesting. So what we've done is negotiate the terms that we think the city wants, but by having that clear direction from you, we'd be able to lay out apples to apples what's being compared. I'm not sure that you would get much different rates if you go out to bid.
Okay. Not an answer I thought I'd get, but that's fine. Hey, that's my questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Schaefer?
Thank you. I'm going to ask a silly question for the benefit of discussion, okay? So why do we do street sweeping?
Pardon me?
Why do we do street sweeping? Why is
We're
it-
required-
I don't
we're-
get much dirt on my street. Why do we want to pay for street sweeping?
Because people have their leaves blown out into the street so that other people can pick them
Well,
up.
Part of my point.
Maybe we let Mary answer.
Yeah, it is part of our stormwater permit program, so we are required to keep the drains clear, debris out of our storm system, our storm drain system, and then over and beyond that, just to keep debris, if debris accumulates on the streets, leaves are slippery, it's just a lot of debris that we would find ourselves confronting if we didn't keep it clean.
So
But we are absolutely required to do street sweeping under our stormwater permit, and then in addition, to keep our streets clean.
But the city collects a fee for that, correct? Like from sewer or from, there's no fees that would support, how is it being?
There are stormwater fees, and we do use part of our stormwater fees to support street sweeping, and we would continue to do that for the arterials. But this rate would just affect the residential streets.
Okay. just, thank you.
I hope that helps a little bit.
No, great, it was a great report here.
All right, Vice Mayor.
Okay, one more question. It's only because Dr. Jana brought it to mind. So if we were to go the RFP route, what is the likelihood that the negotiated kind of rate that we have, which from my notes is between like $37 and $38-ish dollars, will remain the same? Like, you know, we still...
Well,
Stay the same.
what we've been able to benefit from is we have, you know, existing services. If we go out to an RFP, we're going to level the playing field. We would have to do that to make sure that everyone has a fair opportunity to compete. So there's going to be some pieces that everyone's going to have to propose on at the same level. Whereas now we have the ability to use existing infrastructure, existing amenities that Republic Services already has in play. So it is likely that we would structure it in a way that would, in and of itself, increase the likelihood of a rate increase. Just because we're going to be putting we want to make sure that we have this, everyone has the same kind of trucks. We want to make sure everybody has the same amount of garbage carts. You know, what are we going to do to make sure that the whole playing field is even? So just, you know, right now we're able to use what we have. So we're benefiting from that.
Got it. Thank you.
Councilmember Shaver.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is it's probably going to be higher if we go out to bid. My question is if this is what the proposal is from Republic Services, I'm still not understanding why they wouldn't come back at the same rate. If they already know it's lower, they can lock up the contract and it's a done deal. I'm not sure. I have a sense that there's a reason that they don't want to go out to bid. And I just want to kind of understand that better. It doesn't make sense to me that here's the rate you're going to have. You go out to bid, no, it's going to be higher. I'm just not buying that. So, thank you.
Mary, I have a question. Who owns the garbage cans?
We do.
Okay. So that will not be an issue if for any reason there were a different vendor?
It wouldn't be a huge issue.
Okay. Any other questions from council?
Well, you just raised one I thought. Now, so we own the garbage cans?
We do.
So if a different company came, do we have to change out all the garbage cans?
We do not. We do have to have the garbage carts updated for SB 1383 by 2037. So we do have some, 2036, we do have some changes that have to come into effect that we would build into that agreement, but that's there regardless.
Does that, so what money pays if, let's say, a garbage can gets destroyed, the city replaces it, or Republic?
Public Services replaces it.
But bills the city for it?
It's included in they've added that into their rate structure, so that's built
okay.
in.
Oh, okay.
But they are, whoever leaves, the carts stay here.
Any other questions? Discussion, comments? All right, I think it's time for a 5-minute break. Thank you very much. All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's call this session back to order. Thank you very much for participating in this part of the meeting. And I'm going to call upon our city attorney for a statement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to address that, or just provide information to the council that, in my opinion, there is no conflict of interest regarding, of any council member regarding participating in the vote tonight. Under the Levine Act, a council member is disqualified from a permit or entitlement decision only if they receive a campaign contribution exceeding $500 from one of the parties participating. And the fair Political Practice Commission actually looked into this to see if there were any contributions that may fall under that, and they definitively said no. So I just want to provide the council with my opinion that all council members are participating appropriately, and the council can proceed. I'm happy to answer any more specific questions, but I think the issue arose, there's been some discussion, and it came from a misunderstanding about the dating of some of those contributions, that they proceeded made in 2024 as opposed to 2025, so.
Okay.
So I do have a question. So the vote happened, I don't know, a year and 4 days after the Levine Act expired. Is a council member permitted to enter into negotiations, even though they're a year? It doesn't come to a vote, but we're in the process of negotiating this issue. Are they allowed to negotiate? Is that not a conflict?
It could be a conflict. I mean, yes, but the time period, we're past that time period.
Okay,
But it could
I
be
get you. I just wanted to make clarification that you're not permitted, really shouldn't be permitted to negotiate.
Correct.
For a,
The general rule is influence.
okay,
But the crucial sort of facts here are that we're outside of that time
I
period.
hear you.
All right, thank you for that clarification, Scott, I appreciate it. We're always wanting to run a transparent program here with all of our items of discussion, so thank you for that.
Welcome.
All right, now, the time you've all been waiting for, public comments. Danielle?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have 11 speakers in person and 3 written. So I'd like to call first to the podium Matthew Hegelson.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Matthew Helgeson. Honorable Mayor Lopez Taft, Vice Mayor Middleton, and council members. I've lived in Citrus Heights with my wife for 15 years. We've owned a home, and we've adopted 3 small children, ages 3, 4, and 5 now. And as you can imagine, we're very busy, and I have forgotten to take the trash out, which is not pleasant for anyone. But Republic Service has always been there to support me. They've come through and picked up the trash. I just made a phone call. They just took care of it. It was wonderful. We recently moved. We lived over on Mariposa. Now we're on Glen Alta. And so I called them up, said, hey, we're moving. It was a wonderful experience. So I just asked for your support for Republic Service. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Michael Hildebrandt. Following Michael will be Amanda Subia.
Good evening. My name is Michael Hildebrandt. I am the Neighborhood Area 1 Vice President, as well as the REACH Vice President. Tonight is my first council meeting, and I came to speak in support of Republic Services. Not only have they been a community partner for us for the last 2 years, getting our neighborhood areas started back up, they supported us during National Night Out, as well as our holiday party for our neighborhood area, and also the Lycan K through 8. They recently did a garden project with the school. So I would like to keep Republic Services as our hauler, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Michael. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Amanda Subia. I am a longtime resident of Citrus Heights, born and raised here. My mom still lives in the house I was born and raised in. Over that time, she's had a lot of involvement with other carriers, and I can tell you she wanted me to send her messages, please keep Republic Services. They've done a great job for her. Same thing as myself. I'm actually the treasurer of the Citrus Heights Kiwanis Club. Republic Services supports and partners with us in so many ways throughout the community. And in addition to that, being a homeowner, I just bought my first home in Citrus Heights 4 years ago. And the service that I get, even from just a service that wasn't too far away, the service that we get now is amazing. I live off of Larwin, and we have a lot of courts on Larwin that back up to the park. Mine floods a lot. And in particular, this last the last big dump of rain that we had, my trash can in the middle of the night had blown over. They had scooped, I actually watched it on the cameras because I thought there's no way, and I was gonna go run out there and try and do it myself. I watched on my cameras, and they got out of the truck, scooped it up, got everything as much as they could in ankle-deep water, and got it into their trucks, and didn't leave it for me. So I think they've done a fantastic job. I would love to keep them in our Citrus Heights community.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Taylor. Following Taylor will be Elisham Wilbur.
My name is Taylor Brown. I'm a newer resident of Citrus Heights, but I'm active and civic-minded. When people ask why young people are distrustful of government or why they don't have confidence in our political process, we could point to issues like this. I wrote a letter when this issue first came up in August, then it was postponed to September, then again to October, then again to November, when I finally submitted my letter during the public comments, but no one responded. So tonight I'm speaking out again, and I hope you will listen. I freely admit that I don't know if the current provider is the best option for the citizens of Citrus Heights or not. But the thing is, neither do you, because you haven't asked anyone else to offer a bid in the last 27 years. Rather than going through a transparent process and a competitive bid that will give residents confidence you are acting in our best interests, you are again considering a negotiation behind closed doors. I appreciate the stories from people about Republic's support of local groups. I would expect any business getting a $100 million contract would be investing in our community. And those factors could be a consideration in a competitive, transparent process. But again, how will we know if the deal is done in secret? If you want young people to feel like their voices matter, then the city should conduct its business in a transparent manner. This is a $100 million contract for an essential service that residents will be paying for. The criteria should be what is best for the residents, not what is best for friends, allies, or donors. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, council, city staff, and the Citrus Heights community. My name is Elijah Wilbur. I am a Citrus Heights resident. I'm also the current president of the Northwest Neighborhood Area, or as others know it, Neighborhood Area 1. I'm here to speak on three perspectives. So first, as a resident, as a customer of Republic Services, I have to say that we have had nothing but great experiences, especially on a customer service forefront. When my daughter was newly born, surprise, surprise, newborns produce a lot of waste. So with that, we had a really big storm, and somehow in that storm, our main trash can blew away, got taken away, we don't know, but it was gone. So we were freaking out because we had a lot of diapers, a lot of trash to dispose of. We reached out, it was a very stressful time with everything else that comes with a newborn. That was an additional stress. We reached out to Republic Services, and they remedied the situation within the same day. They were fantastic. From the people we talked to on the phone to the person who dropped off the bin. It was a fantastic service. And every subsequent interaction we've had with them has been nothing but stellar. As a community organizer with Neighborhood Area 1, Republic Services has been a major champion of our organization, from helping us rebuild, get events underway, to funding some pizza just so we can draw some people to our holiday party. They have been nothing but supportive and willing to drop everything to support us. Finally, as a former city employee, I do have to say I did work very closely with Mary Poole during the organics recycling initiative. And as probably all of you know, that was a very difficult time, a huge pivot. And probably didn't feel like the smoothest, but I have to say, working with Republic Services, they did an incredible job trying to make that situation as smooth as possible for the residents and for the city. I know city staff probably can't speak to this, but I will say that moving to another service provider would be a huge pivot and a huge weight on your city staff. I urge you to stick with what you know. This is an incredible service. Your residents know this service. They're happy with this service. I urge you, stick with Republic Services. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Alyssa McClendon. Following Alyssa will be Lucas Zaire.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Alyssa McClendon, and I'm a new resident here in Citrus Heights. My husband and I bought our home back in August, so we're fairly new homeowners in this community. My husband currently serves in the United States military, and I am working full-time while also completing my MBA on top of that. So we are just crazy busy. Between military schedules, work, school, and managing a household, there are definitely some weeks where things feel hectic, and sometimes we're not home at the perfect time to roll the trash out, or our schedules shift unexpectedly and we're not home. What I really appreciated about Republic Services is how reliable and consistent they've been. Our service has always been taken care of, and that kind of dependability removes one more stressor from my already full plate. I've also had great experiences with the employees. Everyone that I've interacted with has been professional, kind, helpful, and it feels like they genuinely care about the neighborhoods that they serve. And as a young homeowner just starting out, affordability really matters to us, and I appreciate that Republic Services offers some of the lowest rates in the region while still providing that dependable service. From my perspective, things are working well, and because of that, I support keeping Republic Services as our waste hauler here in Citrus Heights. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, council. My name is Luke Zaire. Been a resident of Citrus Heights for 8 years, having lived in various areas of the greater Sacramento region. Republic Services, it provides one of the rarities that you're going to get the best price, obviously, incredible service. And it's probably the first waste service that I've ever sat back and thought that we've actually received great service from. Any other city that I've lived in the area, service was spotty. And I've never once thought about that with Republic. We've always got excellent communication back from them and their teams. And you can see that they've provided tremendous support to the community. You can't go to an event in the city of Citrus Heights without seeing Republic or a member of their team here investing in the community. So, if you're going to take into account pricing, customer service, and the support in the community, I think that the only answer is to stay with Republic. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Matt Bryant. Following Matt will be Spencer Dowling.
Evening, Council. I am a resident driver with Republic Services, and I've been with the company for over 4 years now. And have 7 years of waste hauling experience, and this company is far bar the best I've ever worked for. And the culture inside the culture is extremely beneficial for drivers. They treat us like human beings and not just numbers on a board like some other places actually do. And that's something that's very, very rare in this industry, and I would like for you to consider that. And I also support this measure to stay with the Republic. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. My name is Spencer Dowling. I am a driver and have serviced a Citrus Heights residential organics route for the past 3.5 years. My coworkers and I were encouraged to show up in our work uniforms tonight to display life's most unifying and calming color, highlighter yellow. That being so, I thought it important to dress tonight in a way in which the importance and seriousness of my message would be properly conveyed to you. So here it is. Roses are red, Republic trucks are blue. We have a contract that we'd like to renew. It's been said, with distance, the heart grows fonder. But in this situation, we'd like to stay a bit longer. We've grown so accustomed to days spent with you. We love all your trash cans, the contaminated ones too. And the friendships we've made with your many residents, we appreciate their conversations and kind temperaments. True, there are a few who say we might have missed their can, but that's nothing that can't be solved by our trusty dash cams. I'm kidding, we always go back. Our trucks love your streets like fruit in a fruit bowl, and we even enjoy the occasional pothole. We understand that this decision is crucial. The services chosen should be the most useful. Millions of dollars is no drop in the bucket, but we think we're worth it, and we know that you'll love it. So let's not break up and avoid all the tears and renew the contract another 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
The next speaker is Tanya Kravchuk. Following Tanya will be Colin Wallace.
Good evening, Council. I just knew I was going to follow the poem. How can you compete with that? I am Tanya Kravchuk. I grew up in Citrus Heights and was a longtime resident. I no longer live here, but we are in the construction and real estate industry, so we have many projects in Citrus Heights and many rental properties. I am here today as a local business owner and as a local school board member to encourage transparency. It is evident from all the public comment tonight, from the show of support, that Republic Services is well-loved. And I love that for your city, and I hope that for every vendor that you have and every service provider, for them to be so well-loved. But being well-loved should not be the criteria for you to decide how to spend city money. And I believe that as a city council, we really should look at an RFP process. A transparent RFP process does not prohibit Republic Services from continuing to be the provider if they are the best candidate, and the residents can continue to love them and enjoy their services. But a transparent RFP process ensures competition, it promotes competition, it protects taxpayers, and it builds trust. So I encourage you to choose the RFP process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Colin Wallace. I'm the General Manager for Republic Services, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. But first, I want to sincerely thank city staff for the time and diligence they put into this negotiations. The proposal is a result of thoughtful conversations focused on the city's priorities and the needs of the residents. I also want to thank the city of Citrus Heights community. For over 20 years, we've had the privilege of serving the residents, and we do not take this responsibility lightly. Our drivers, our customer service team, our local managers are all very proud to serve the city every single day. This proposed extension accomplishes three important things. First, it preserves affordability. The Citrus Heights residents will continue to have some of the lowest rates in the region. Even after the 6% adjustment in 2028, the rates remain lower than the neighboring jurisdictions. Second, enhanced services. The extension includes an on-site customer care manager or customer service manager, improving reporting tools, additional resources for illegal dumping and compost distribution, and it also maintains the neighborhood cleanup services that the city is so fond of. I also want to just clarify that the street sweeping under this proposal, it is a pass-through cost. We are doing this simply to manage and coordinate and try to drive efficiencies and service the city better. Third, this proposed extension it protects stability. I understand that some may ask why the contract is being extended rather than competitively bid, and I do want to say this. The proposal was not automatic. It was through negotiations. The city staff evaluated our performance, the residents multiple times over the year, including last year's survey where we're showing high levels of customer satisfaction. And we continue to provide reliable service and value. If you have the lowest rates in the region, you have strong customer satisfaction, and no history of service disruption, that context matters. Going out to bid does not guarantee lower rates. In many cases, the transition into new fleets our fleet replacement cost, operational distributions, often does relate to higher rates for residents. The negotiation reflects the priorities that we were clearly expressed: affordability, predictability, service enhancements, innovation, and operational stability. At the end of the day, this is about what's best for the city of Citrus Heights residents, and we are proud of our nearly 20-year partnership with the city and grateful for the trust you have put in us, and we respectfully ask for your support to continue with this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
That concludes the in-person speakers. I have 3 written to read aloud. The first speaker's comments are provided in a chart format, so it might be a little difficult to read, but just bear with me. This comment is from Larry Soulsby. The past 6 years have seen continual price increases, very big jump in 2023, but my Social Security has not increased at this rate, and trash price changes are as follows. The date of the change, the price percentage increase, the CPI, and the Social Security COLA is how it's listed. On January 30th, 2020, the price was $39.90. The percent it went up was 3.48. The CPI was 1.20, and the Social Security COLA was 1.6. On January 30th, 2021, the price was $41.10. The percent it went up was 3.01. The CPI was 7%, and the Social Security COLA was 1.30%. On January 30th, 2022, the cost was $42.54. The percent it increased was 3.5. The CPI was 6.5. The Social Security COLA was 5.9%. On March 30th, 2023, the cost was $55.48. The percent up was $30.42. 30.42. The CPI was 3.4%, and the Social Security COLA was 8.70, a big jump. On July 30th, 2024, the cost was $57.44. The percent increase was 3.53. The CPI was 2.9%. The Social Security COLA was 3.2%. On January 30th, 2025, the cost was $59.46. The percent increase was 3.52. The CPI was 2.70, and the Social Security COLA was 2.50%. On January 30th, 2026, the cost was $61.54. Percentage increase 3.50. The CPI was 2.4%, and the Social Security COLA was 2.5%, totaling up $50.95, 26.10% increase, and then 26, it doesn't say percent or dollars. And now they want more. The next comment is from Robert Weichert. I fully support competitive bidding for residential solid waste and recycling collection services. It is our responsibility to obtain the lowest possible costs for services to our customers. The only way to do that is by competitive bidding. And the final public comment is submitted by Cynthia Roberts. I am concerned that the City of Citrus Heights is going to be voting on a no-bid $110 million contract to Republic Services for residential waste later this month, and I was shocked to hear that after 27 years, this contract has never been put out to competitive bid. At the council meetings, we heard a parade of repetitive speakers about how Republic Services has been a good community partner, a friend to many groups and elected officials, but taxpayer dollars should not be about giving contracts on the basis of friendship. It should be about getting the best service for residents. Opening the bid can lead to price negotiations, technology, add-ons, education enhancements, and potentially improved service. Also, I am unclear about how the cost of street sweeping will be incurred. Will it come separately from the Citrus Heights General Fund, or be deducted from the franchise fee. Citrus Heights residents deserve transparency and deserve to know that we're getting the best services for our tax dollars. There is still time for the city council to do the right thing and put the contract out for a competitive bid and a transparent process, not a backroom deal for friends.
All right, and Danielle, that concludes public comment? All right. Do we have any other comments, questions from the council?
Are we going to vote, or is that?
It looks like you're looking for direction, right, Mary?
Yes, I'd like to get some direction on the items, but we could do this in your preferred cadence. So we could either do the staff recommendation and you make a decision about amending or RFP, and then we go back and you decide the items, or we could start with the items.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about this slide.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Start there.
So, and I've actually talked to a couple of my neighbors about how they feel about this particular issue, and some of them said, well, I don't really put out that much stuff, but when I said we're going to drop it to 5 yards instead of 10, and we're also going to drop it twice instead of 3 times, that was where it kind of fell over. It was like, okay, well, you can't reduce the volume and reduce the number of pickups. So my position would certainly be that if we want to reduce the volume, we at least need to move, and I'm not a fan, by the way. I know many of my neighbors are big fans of neighborhood cleanup, just because I've witnessed people going through the trash, and it's been unhoused people collecting things, and that's kind of the reason that I don't like this program. But at the same time, I see the logic, and it doesn't make sense to do this sort of double whammy on this. So I would say make it 2 times a year and leave it at 10. And I think that's the best way to kind of, because most people aren't going to put out that much stuff anyway. But to do the double whammy, I think, reduce it to 2 and leave it at 10. That would be my position. As far as the household waste drop-off event, I did, I read Terrence McNamara's public comment here, and he's with Atlas, and what they're offering is a door-to-door, on-demand household hazardous waste collection. I understand that the big hassle that is to set it up, to have somebody, if we have to have an event, we have to have a specific place, there has to be a specific person who's qualified to handle that. This sounds like it would be somebody in a pickup truck who's qualified to handle hazardous waste. You call them up and you make an appointment, they come pick it up from you. This seems to make a lot of sense to me, having the on-demand door-to-door. We also have lots of residents, and David Warren is one who's voiced the concern with getting to some place where they can get their household hazardous waste. This seems to make a lot of sense to me. I don't know what the cost associated with it is, but it's another example of why we should look at this going out to bid, because this is a different company. They have good reviews. We need to put it out to competition. So anyhow, that's what other shifting from bi-monthly to tri-monthly. I don't think that makes much difference. There you go. That's my opinion.
Did you have a opinion on the street sweeping?
Yeah, as far as the street sweeping, the rates on the street sweeping is, there's certain people that aren't going to realize benefiting, but it is going to benefit the vast majority of the city. So I think we should include this into the program.
So thank you for your comments, Councilmember Schaefer. Can we take each of these pieces so that we can get some agreement these at least 4 points. Would that be okay, Mary?
Yes.
So point number 1, inclusion of residential street sweeping and customer rates. Do I have support for Councilmember Schaefer's proposal?
Yeah.
Not for me.
Okay.
I support including the street sweeping.
Okay, so Scott, how do we, at this point where we're providing direction where it's 4-1?
So since it's direction, I think just a voice vote would be appropriate.
Okay. So it sounds like we have 4 for it and 1 voicing opposition to that. So it sounds like we would like inclusion of residential street sweeping in customer rates. Bullet point number 2, refinement of neighborhood cleanup program. What I heard Councilmember Schaefer suggest is reduce it to 2 collections per year and modify B so that there is no reduction to 5 cubic yards. It's to keep it at 10 cubic yards. Do I have support for that suggestion?
Yes,
Yes.
I second that.
Okay.
Yes.
And we will do a voice vote for that.
Well, I'm
And
okay
it
with-
sounds like we're all in agreement, so you have 5 in agreement there. Point number 3, addition of annual local HHW drop-off event. And because this says a specific event,
Why is it cost neutral?
It is,
costs somebody something.
this is specifically cost neutral because we used to have drop-off events. And when we switched to using the North Area Recovery Station, we realized a benefit, and Republic has been reimbursing us for that benefit. So we're just going to call that even, and they'll get those funds back. It's about $75,000 a year, and they'll run the event. So that's how it became cost neutral.
So we were getting $75,000 so that we could drop it off at the North Area Recovery Station? And now we have to give it back to them so they can have their...
Originally, when we had the drop-off events, the city and Republic Services both contributed to the drop-off events. So
Cost.
when we switched to the North Area Recovery Station, they realized that benefit, and we had them give it back to us, and we've been using that for compost and dog waste pickups and things like that. And it started out as actually 50,000 and just has gone up with CPI, so it's not quite 75,000.
So it's cost neutral to the resident, but not to the city?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And I would just want to add that, one of the council members mentioned, there is a significant cost for door-to-door household hazardous waste collection. I think you maybe mentioned that, Councilmember Schaefer. And so that would be something to consider. If you wanted to look at that, there would be a significant cost to that. And you see that.
Or if we get to see what that.
Right, right. Mhm.
Question, can I have one more question on that subject? My understanding is when we used to have the event behind behind Macy's or whatever, that it took the special personnel, in other words, they had to wear they were all trained for the handling of hazardous material, and so that's what makes it difficult, is that it's not something that the average driver can just throw in his truck.
Correct.
So it is a specialized type of recycling.
There are regulations that have to be followed in order to do that collection.
so Councilmember Schaefer, would you like to make a proposal of this particular item?
Sure. I think the additional local household waste drop-off event is included. That is indicated here, cost neutral if it's not going out to bid, certainly. But I'm going to advocate that it does go out to bid. But that's for the purpose of this particular point.
Tim, turn your microphone.
Oh, geez, sorry. Okay, so for this particular point, I'm going to say that that the additional annual household hazardous waste drop-off event, cost neutral, is included.
Any support for this item?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And do we have agreement? Sounds
Yes.
like we have.
Yes.
Okay, we have agreement on that. And finally, the shift from bi-monthly to tri-monthly customer billing. What was your original proposal?
My original
Suggested.
proposal is, let's do that.
I support that as well, and we might realize some savings.
Okay.
Agreed.
I don't really care.
We'll take that as agreement.
I'm neutral on
Pay
that
it
as well,
anyway.
but I'll tend toward agreement on that one. Okay, so those are the direction pieces.
Thank you.
Mary, okay, now, we are at staff recommendations. Do I have
I would like to make a comment before we
yes, please.
go into recommendations. And I've been thinking about, like, a lot of the comments that have been made tonight. And competition is healthy, and it keeps the market honest, and I think we all can agree on that. But the thought of competition only creates value when it produces a better outcome. And the goal has been, through this whole entire process, is to better service at a lower cost, and we already have both of those things. And we know this to be the case because we tested the market informally through regional rate comparisons, with Citrus Heights currently having the lowest rate. We've seen what the Rancho Cordova contract looked like before it went out to bid and after it went out to bid, and the significant increase to where they're at $44.22 per month. So I think my question to my colleagues is, what problem are we actually trying to solve if we have over 90% customer satisfaction? We've negotiated additional added services, included street sweeping, a local HHW event, and still remain the lowest cost jurisdiction in the region. Doing an RFP does not guarantee a better rate. It does not guarantee better service. And if you were to take a quick look on Facebook groups for folks who are in different jurisdictions who have made the choice, their council made the choice to take that gamble with the contract, they're not happy with the service. And that's part of it. It's not about backwards dealing or lack of transparency. We have these conversations right here in the public. I get all your not nice emails, okay? I know how you feel about it. However, fiscal prudence demands that we do what is in the best interest for every individual, fixed income or not, in our community. So if I have a senior citizen who's on Social Security and their Social Security is not keeping pace, jumping their trash collection bill, as evident by Rancho Cordova, for example, by 10.6%, is not helping them. It's making their situation worse. So I'm not against competition. I just say that decisions need to be grounded in data, and we've got enough data, I feel, to say that we've got the best we can do right here with our current provider. And if we were the middle of the pack and we could probably save more than $1.19 a month, I'd be willing to say, hey, send it out to bid. But I don't think we're gonna get any better than what we've got right now.
Thank you for your comments.
Can I echo Vice Mayor Middleton's comments? It is, what are you trying to solve? I mean, we have terrific service. I'm sure that the other providers would give adequate service, but I'm not sure it would ever rise to the level of terrific. The discussions that some of the people gave about the cans turning over and them standing out in the rain and pushing all the garbage back into these drivers have done some first aid to people having heart attacks on the street. And I just love Republic Services for the service that they provide. I go to my doctor for the last 27 years, same doctor. It's not the price, it's the service and the trust that you have. And so it isn't, and it's transparent in the sense that we know them. A lot of our RFPs go out to people we don't know. This company we don't know, this company we know, and then we read RFPs from unknowns. This is a known. And the known is that they are so wonderful in our community. I just don't, Colin he's on our board for the San Juan Education Foundation, for the Chamber. He has just given to our community in every way. That the drivers are wonderful. You talk to them when they come down the street. This is like, you can't pay for that kind of service. I mean, you want to come and sweep my dirt road, that's fine. But I would be just happy to renew that contract with you guys.
Mayor?
Yes. Councilmember Schaefer.
I love Republic Services too. I really do. I am charged with dispensing the people's word here, establishing true transparency and public trust. I can't hire my brother or my friend because that's a conflict. That's a bias that I would have. I think that it's completely unethical to hire someone just because, oh, this is my buddy over here. That's called cronyism. That doesn't instill public trust. And again, that's not against Republic Services. I think they're great. If they've offered the best proposal here, that best proposal will still exist in the RFP process. I just think this entire thing has been negotiated behind closed doors. We don't know. We're about to vote on this. We don't even know what the contract's going to look like. With regard to the rate, we see the rate for Rancho Cordova. We don't know anything about that contract with Rancho Cordova.
Actually, we do.
Well, wait a second. Let me finish my thought here. If you have amortized the rate at 3.5% over the 10-year period, we're talking about the rate is now over $50 here. It's $51, I think it was. I did the math. So just because the rate is very low right now does not mean it's going to be low at the end of the contract. And again, there's no question. You probably read the contract through and through and through.
Made an
Again,
infographic too. Yeah.
so again, I think this is completely unethical to do business, the people's business this way. So that's my comment.
I'm going to push back a little bit, council member, and put it like this. We know if we've taken the time to read contracts and to do that due diligence, we know what Rancho Cordova's rate was beforehand. And the way that process went back, because I actually went back and I looked at the YouTube videos. I spent a lot of time to do the people's work. I watched their council meeting. I know that there was a process that Republic went through, along with other haulers, to put out their offers. And they said, no, we don't like them still. And they said, come back with your best and final. And when they came back with that best and final offer, it was significantly higher. And we're talking about the 5% CPI adjustment cap. We're talking about, they're at right now at, $44. And they have the street sweeping. They have everything that is proposed in this contract here. But when they took that out for a best and final offer, what they ended up getting back was direct payments for the city of $450,000 annually for their roads. That means the residents who are paying the trash bill are paying additional in the city of Rancho Cordova to make that happen, to balance out that road budget. They're hidden fees. Just because someone tells you that, yeah, I can do a better job or I can get you right where you want to be, when you're talking about backward dealing here and you're talking about backroom deals, that's what happened there. $150K for procurement reimbursement, and Atlas had to also make their headquarters in Rancho Cordova. Those are the details that are in the contract. We know that we can trust Republic because they've been doing the job diligently. I'm not going to divorce my husband because I'm like, oh, that guy over there looks cute. Let's try something different because it's been 23 years, right? It's based on track record. It's based on community input. The community has clearly spoken and said time and time again that Republic is their choice. If Republic were doing something that was inappropriate, or if we were within $2 range, I'd say send it out to bid. We can do better. You wouldn't refinance anything you own if you know you've got the lowest mortgage rate. If your mortgage rate, like the mortgage on my house right now, is at 3% through the VA, I know what the mortgage rate is out here on the street. I would not all my life say, oh, let me go out there and just price it out and see what happens. We know. We have to use data and we have to be responsible with the taxpayer dollars. We send this out to RFP. It's not just the additional, oh, we know we're going to get a little bit higher of a price. We also got to pay, Mary Poole, what's that number if we send it out to RFP? What's the cost? $75,000? $125,000 additional. You want to take that money out of our city budget to do that for something that we already know. We've got the best rate.
I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know what kind of deal we can swing. I don't know what the competition is willing to offer. I don't know what kind of technology they're willing to bring to the party.
All right, Councilmember, I'm going to respect that. And if you're willing to gamble with the taxpayer's dollar,
I'm willing to be ethical about how we.
if you're willing to gamble with the taxpayer's dollar, then that's your prerogative.
Thank you both.
Mayor,
Let's hear from Councilmember Nelson.
thank you very much. What has stuck out to me throughout this whole process is the topic of innovation. And when this first came before us in November, I remember asking staff the question and my fellow council members the question, what innovative technologies exist out there from our competitors? And no one could come up with an answer. We didn't hear from any of the other haulers then or today what those innovative technologies are that are out there that Republic doesn't have. So I would love if there was some magic piece of technology that was available, but it just hasn't been brought up, so I have to assume it doesn't exist. And then I see, to Councilmember Schaefer's credit, the big piece of innovation proposed in this contract are the new vehicles.
The rear-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah, that Republic is doing a pilot program for. That is the biggest piece of innovative technology that I've heard throughout this entire topic. So that's exciting to me. If somebody else had something better, I think they would have said it by now. So for that, I don't know if it's worth the risk and the gamble to go out.
All right. We have two possible next steps here. Do I have someone willing to make a motion?
I will. I'd like to make a motion that we direct staff to issue a request for proposal for the residential solid waste and recycling collection services contract.
I second that. All those in favor?
Roll call vote.
Roll call.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Karpinski Costa,
No.
Councilmember Nelson,
No.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Middleton,
No.
and Mayor Lopez Taff.
Yes. So this particular motion fails. Do I have another motion?
I move that we adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Citrus Heights, California, authorizing the city manager to execute an amended and restated residential solid waste and recycling collection services agreement with Allied Waste Services of North America LLC, subject to results of public hearing regarding proposed rate increases.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Karpinski Costa,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
No.
Vice Mayor Middleton,
Yes.
and Mayor Lopez Taff.
No. So with that, it looks like we are adopting the resolution and the motion passes. Thank you very much for all of your hard work, everyone. Mary and your team, thank you for
Thank
working
you.
on this last few months.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's have our next item, please. Please be respectful if you are exiting the chambers. Next item, please, Danielle.
The next item is regular calendar item number 9, discussion item of strategic goal related to massage establishments. The recommendation is for the city council to review the information presented in this report and accompanying presentation and provide staff with feedback and direction on possible code amendments.
Again, if we could have quiet in the chambers, we still have one more item to consider. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. My name is Lieutenant William Dunning with the Police Department, and joining me tonight is Senior Planner Allison Bermudez with the Community Development Department. Tonight's item covers the massage establishments and the potential updates to our current ordinance. At the conclusion of tonight's presentation, staff will seek feedback and direction from council on the items that are covered. Tonight's item is a strategic goal from the planning meeting in March of 2025 to preserve and enhance public safety by maintaining consistency with regional and adjacent jurisdictions, to present zoning and municipal code updates and considering those regulations for high visibility impact uses, including massage establishments, vending, food trucks, and similar challenges facing the region. As we began working on this project, we established goals and a purpose behind it. The goal is to support massage therapy as a valid health profession while deterring illegal business operations. While doing so, to maintain an ordinance which holds business owners and managers responsible for all on-site conduct, to remain consistent with surrounding jurisdictions, and identify potential updates which are not more restrictive than those within the region. And lastly, to align with the standards and requirements of the California Massage Therapy Council, also known as CAMTech, and the 2025 Massage Therapy Act, covered in the California Business and Professions Code. Our current massage establishment ordinance is covered in Chapter 22, Article 8. It was last updated in 2018. This current ordinance does provide foundational licensing and operation requirements, but in staff's review, we identified needs for clearer standards, enhanced licensing and operational requirements, and better enforcement tools. As we began the review stage, we compared our ordinance with the following jurisdictions on the screen. Based on staff's review, we found that the County of Sacramento and the City of Roseville to be the most aligned to what we were looking to potentially amend. Both jurisdictions provide up-to-date ordinances, and both jurisdictions share jurisdictional boundaries with our city. And as you can see, both County of Sacramento and City of Roseville updated in 2025. Tonight, I'm providing potential updates. These are just potential updates for the ordinance. And I provided council with a document which will be as consistent with the document in the presentation. We are covering a total of 19 items, so this way you can, as we go through them, take notes and provide direction at the end. So the potential updates would be covering amending purpose and intent, enhanced application and licensing, location and density control, operational and facility standards, and enforcement improvements. Under the purpose and intent section, staff would look to amend that to frame massage therapy as a valid health service while emphasizing ethics, crime deterrence, blight reduction, and neighborhood protection. It would also hold owners and managers fully responsible for all on-site conduct. Moving forward to licensing and application, the proposed amendments would broaden criminal history requirements to disclose all criminal charges in the last 10 years and all convictions since turning 18 years old. It would require the applicant to identify a massage therapist as an independent contractor or an employee, and it would establish clear timelines for incomplete applications filed during the application process. It would also require proof of $1 million liability insurance. And to clarify a little bit on this item specifically, it is written in the definitions section of our ordinance where it references the American Massage Therapy Association, and speaking with the California Massage Therapy Council for clarification is insurance companies now offer massage establishments liability insurance without being a member of a specific association, okay? And so the $1 million liability insurance will be consistent with ordinances within the industry. Moving forward, the proposed amendments would require the name of property owner or landlord to allow notifications regarding any violations on the premise, require that all unpaid citations or uncorrected violations be corrected prior to the renewal of a business license. Moving into the location and density control, this is a ordinance with the County of Sacramento. It is something that staff is recommending is to add a section creating 1,000-foot separation between massage establishments to prevent overconcentration. Owner-operated massage establishments where the owner is the sole provider would be exempt of this update. The current massage establishments and those who are in the application process now would also be exempt from this update. But this could potentially impact 19 of the 35 locations that currently serve massage establishments within the city in the event that a business were to close. To highlight the reason for bringing forward a location density control amendment is, as you can see, our city, of the population over 86,000 people, we have currently 35 massage establishments and licenses, and our per capita rating, based on the jurisdictions that we compared our ordinance to, is number 2, with the highest of 1 per 2,465 persons. Moving forward to operation facility standards, the potential amendments would prohibit any person from entering a massage establishment while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. It would prohibit the residential use or living quarters or evidence of living quarters within a commercial massage establishment. Would further clarify therapist attire to prohibit see-through, transparent, or attire which exposes a therapist's anatomical areas. Will also expand prohibited conduct to include the anatomical areas of female customer without their written consent. Continuing, it would allow security cameras at the reception desk and to the rear entry or exit. This would not be a requirement. It would just be something that the owner or manager would have the ability to do. But other early warning devices, such as door chimes or exterior cameras, would still be prohibited. Create advertising restrictions to prohibit sexually suggestive content and advertise on websites known to promote illicit activity. It would add a new section to prohibit window coverings to allow visibility during business hours. It would add a new section to prohibit the installation or use of a table shower. And it would add a new section to mandate the posting of victim rights and human trafficking information per the California Civil Code. The last area for potential amendments would be for enforcement. This would change the current enforcement approach to improve compliance with this article. It would categorize violations as correctable or non-correctable violations. It would allow for immediate notices of violation for non-correctable violations, and would be a similar approach to the City of Roseville and the County of Sacramento. The difference between the two is the City of Roseville issues immediate notices of violation for all of their sections, municipal code sections, where the County of Sacramento, they will issue them for non-correctable violations only, and they would go into a notice to abate, which is what we currently enforce for our enforcement right now. This is very similar to the document that was provided to council. As you can see, as we compared our ordinances and what we were trying to accomplish through the potential amendments, the green check marks mean that each of these items align with what we're bringing forth tonight. And as you can see, between the County of Sacramento and the City of Roseville, our proposed amendments that were brought forth tonight align with not only or with one or the other or both. And as you can see, there are several areas presented tonight which are aligned across the board between all jurisdictions. Staff conducted public outreach, created a dedicated web page on our city's website with information on potential updates. 111 letters were mailed to property owners and business owners in multiple languages. And staff conducted a community workshop on January 22nd, 2026, and had approximately 20 attendees present. During the public workshop, there was input provided by those in attendance with concerns raised with the 1,000-foot separation requirement. The concern was that this would limit or discourage people from the ability to open a business here in the city of Citrus Heights. There are also concerns raised with security measure restrictions to include window coverings and early warning devices. And attendees were receptive to the proposed addition of security cameras within the massage establishment, but requested security cameras extend to the exterior of the business. As we conclude, staff's recommendation is that the City Council review the information presented and provide staff with feedback and direction on possible code amendments. And I will go to the next slide, which will basically highlight all 19 of these items as we move forward.
Are there any questions from council members on this item?
Yes, Mayor.
Councilmember Nelson, yes.
Thank you. I may have missed it, but will this prohibit massage therapists from operating out of their homes if they have a business out of their homes?
No, it would not.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, that was one of mine.
Yes, we have a question from our Vice Mayor.
I'm looking at the $1 million liability insurance, and I was just looking at the packet on page, what is this? Item 9, page 2, and it says liability insurance coverage in the minimum amount of $2 million per event. So is there a difference there? I didn't know if it was like.
There's not a difference in reviewing the ordinance. It seems that portion, because it's only discussed in the definition portion and not the rest of the ordinance, that it might be a little outdated.
Okay.
And when speaking with Camtech, they were, as I mentioned earlier, is you don't have to be a part of an association in order to have that type of insurance. There are associations that provide similar insurance, but we would be reducing it down to the $1 million.
Okay, and just for, fun facts, what's a correctable versus a non-correctable violation? And if it's explicit, don't tell me.
Some of the ones that we would be looking at, and I don't have the full list in front of me, I just have what we're proposing. But for example, if we're conducting an inspection and we find that staff of the massage establishment are dressed in inappropriate attire, that is, in our opinion, we would consider that potentially non-correctable. The same is true with licensing. If you do not have a current license, if your staff is not Camtech certified or have the credentials for that. So there are specific ones that would be, advertisements would be another one that would be non-correctable, because once you advertise, it's kind of hard to take down. Yeah.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Councilmember Karpinski-Costa.
So on the density issue, your slide said there were 16 establishments that would be affected by the 1,000-foot rule? Is that 19, whatever? So does that mean when someone sells their business, it can still be an established massage? In other words, they're grandfathered in. Is their buyer grandfathered in? Does that grandfatherness transfer to the next person?
It would. We would include in the ordinance that should a ownership transfer change and it's in good standing, the existing business is in good standing, that ownership would be allowed to change. If it closed, it could not reopen, but it could change ownership.
Okay. So when an owner is exempt from that, does that mean an owner is the guy doing the work or the person doing the work, or the owner is somebody who hires somebody to do the work?
The owner exemption is for if you're a single one-person therapist, you're owner-operator, so it's only you, then you're exempt from that
So
1,000-foot.
you only have one person
Yeah.
working there. Okay. And that's include when they get their license, only one person
Correct.
is there. Okay.
Correct. They are required to provide us a list of all their therapists. So if they own an establishment, they provide us, keep us current on their list of therapists. So when they get an inspection or they get a call, code enforcement goes out there and they would check their registry to make sure who's working is actually listed on their registry.
Okay, great. I noticed, too, that both jurisdictions that you gave us this little comparable sheet, both jurisdictions ban table showers. So I say to myself, what's a table shower? So I just looked it up, and I got some Google images. They look like fun. What's the matter with them? You lay there in this water. Do you see the picture? It's like taking a water massage. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with that? You're naked. Yeah,
You're naked.
So this has a potential to add some risk, if you will, to the person getting said service, has a potential for inappropriate behavior, if you will. So by eliminating table showers, it would be eliminating the ability for potential inappropriate behavior.
To add on to that, this only is for massages like from the neck down, right? Because there's a like scalp massage place in town that does great like hair washing.
Correct. A definitive massage would, in this purpose, would be from the neck down.
Okay.
Doesn't include massages when you're getting your hair fixed or things like that.
What about foot massage, reflexology?
It does not include, yeah, it doesn't, the hands or feet would not be included either.
So if a place that does foot massage like Foodie Rudy would be exempt from this rule?
Except I think they do other massages there too.
Oh, they
But
do,
if they
okay.
only did feet, then yes.
Okay, feet. By the way, I had a reflexology treatment. It's incredible.
Any other comments or questions? Did we have any public comment? Okay.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have one. I'd like to call Lauren McLaughlin.
Good evening. My name is Lauren McLaughlin. I am a 2008 graduate of the Healing Arts Institute that was here in Citrus Heights. There were approximately 5,000 graduates from that school before they closed. I speak with experience going all the way back to 2008. If you have questions about massage and the type, myself and another therapist are here. We'd be willing to respond to that. I bring to you that as of January 1st, the state of California, in the recent passage of the amended, updated California Massage Act, now recognizes those of us that are CAMTC certified massage therapists as healthcare providers. Please take that into consideration as you consider these amendments. These amendments are looking at more of a vice side than a health side. As far as your 1,000-foot distance, how many health providers in the city of Citrus Heights are required to be 1,000 feet apart? Most massage therapists in your city, I would wager, are probably independent massage therapists rather than employees of places such as Massage Envy, Hand and Stone, and others. Many of us will share space. There may be 3 people sharing one office because we don't work 40-hour weeks. We may have a massage therapist next door. And as I shared at the meeting, you need to hear what we learned in school, and that is that there's plenty of bodies to go around for everyone. We do not compete. We support each other. We refer to each other. We encourage others to go into our profession if that's their calling. We like to help them getting their businesses going. Oh, there was something else I was going to say. My head is swimming. So I don't care if a Massage Envy were to be built in the parking lot of where I practice, because people that want to go to a big box massage place will do so. And those that want an independent contractor that will take the time, get the full health history that they need in order to appropriately work on them, will do that, and they will come to us. So that 1,000-foot distance, I'm not quite sure what that's about, other than it's comparative to cannabis clubs or this or that, where you have that so that you're not concentrating that may bring ill people into your area. We can be next to schools, probably be encouraged to be there. We're a healthy environment. I ask you to take a look at today's massage world, not the one from the 1800s where they were referred to as massage parlors. We're health providers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. I'm curious about enforcement. What potential enforcement actions have, or not potential, what enforcement actions do we have that we're trying to mitigate here?
If I understand your question, the enforcement action we're trying to mitigate is just like any business, we want to support those who are good business owners within our community, and that goes across the board. But as an enforcement efforts is we want to, for those who are the bad actors, the ones that repeatedly have violations, we want to be able to hold them accountable, very similar to the way we would hold other businesses accountable within our city as well.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? Yes, Vice Mayor.
The previous comment just brought up a question for me about the density and control. So if you have independent operators who are operating out of the same building, how does that impact them?
So if, for example, there's a massage establishment on Sunrise Boulevard within a business building, right? And so they are a full massage establishment with multiple employees. Now, if somebody were to rent out another business office in that facility and they're the sole provider, which the only person working there and providing, they're the only one, they would be exempt from the 1,000-foot rule. So they could be within the same building as long as they are a sole provider.
Okay, but if you had, let's say, three sole providers who had their own separate licenses, but they, I don't know how you, like, they're roommates, they cost share, or however you want to put it, like, you know, so they, one there might be there Monday through Thursday, Tuesday through Friday, whatever, right? How is, that's the situation I'm talking about there.
That would be.
Because they're not employees.
Right. And so I think that's something we would probably have to discuss or venture down a little bit more as related to the actual enforcement of it.
The way that it would, the way it would set up now is that would be considered an establishment because it's one location with multiple therapists. Even though they're independent of each other, it would be considered an establishment and would fall within that 1,000-foot separation requirement.
I am curious about that as well, about how many issues we've had of this happening where two massage establishments were within 1,000 feet of each other. Are there people gathering in the parking lot? What's the issue that we've had in the past or that we've seen in the region?
It's basically just to reduce the overconcentration of massage establishments that we have in the city. From the graphic that you saw, that we have quite a bit more establishments than surrounding, so it would reduce the number of establishments or potential future establishments that we have from certain areas. So they could still locate in the city, we could still have additional establishments, but they would not be all concentrated in one area. And 1,000 feet, you know, that's one end of the shopping center to the other.
I see. Thank you.
So Roseville doesn't have that, is that correct? Is that what I'm reading your chart? Roseville does not?
That is correct. So, County of Sacramento is the only one that has that ordinance.
Does the license, I'm sorry, can I ask a question? Sure. Does the license they get determine, is there types of massage when they get their license from the city? Does it say, I do full body, I do head up, I do feet, I do medical?
No, it's just massage in general, and then our definition of massage captures, you know, reflexology and all those type. If they tell us they're only, you know, head above the shoulders and above, or just the feet, then we tell them they don't need a license.
So does our application have boxes to check that they could, I'm a sole proprietor, I work alone?
Not currently. We could add that, but if they check those, we wouldn't need the application.
Okay.
Any other points of discussion, questions, clarification? Councilmember Nelson?
Oh, yes, thank you. I think in light of the public comment that was shared, that massage is considered healthcare. I'd be open to taking out the 1,000-foot restriction on this.
Mayor? The problem is, how do we know who's the healthcare related one versus the one that's more vice related? It's really hard to distinguish those. So it's kind of, you know, since there's no distinction between those in their licensing or anything like that, how would you know who they are?
I think what's more important to me as I look at this is like the criminal history. You know, we want to know if you have a criminal history. I think that's relevant when you're in a vulnerable situation with somebody. Being in the same shopping mall, I don't really see as a problem. If it becomes a problem in the future, then we can reconsider. But it doesn't sound like we have a history of it being a problem. It's just kind of a future kind of possible prevention situation.
I agree. I mean, we could limit 1,000 feet for taco joints, you know, but you don't want too many taco joints. So it's,
I tend to also agree with Councilmember Nelson's point. I think with the other points that you presented here, the other 18 points, if you will, this density control one is one we probably don't need to address at this time. I think we'll have strength in enforceable action with the other pieces.
And just to say, one thing on the, we looked at, comprehensive review of our ordinance versus a surrounding. And as we found, especially in this, if we're not equal to our neighboring jurisdictions, we end up with the proliferation here. So our ordinance since 2018 has not been up to everyone else around us. And most recently with Roseville and the county updating theirs, we had seen an increase of applications over the past few months. And so that's why we suggest to at least be equal to majority of our neighbors. The 1,000-foot wasn't favored in the workshops from the owners. Roseville doesn't do it, Sacramento County does, so it could go either way.
All right.
I think the Roseville ordinance is a good model, so they don't do the density and they don't do correctable versus non-correctable. Is that because they can't distinguish and got a due process issue with what's correctable and what's not correctable?
That's because the city of Roseville, they immediately issue violations on site versus,
Then maybe
versus
that's
a
the ticket.
notice to abate.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a ticket, like, we can say, get rid of, the 1,000-foot, but if you're out of alignment, you know what the rules are, immediate violation. And then you guys do whatever it is you do.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so do you have enough direction from what you've heard today?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, so absent the density control, the direction of the council is to move forward with potential amendments for the other 18 items.
That is what I'm hearing. Do I have any other?
Correctable, non-correctable. We like the Roseville not having it in
Yeah,
there.
it looks,
Yeah.
Immediate correction is what they employ.
right.
Yeah, we do want that model.
So it looks like we want it to sort of look like Roseville's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a hop, skip, and a jump. I wouldn't mind if the whole Auburn Boulevard was massage, 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 massage. I mean, it'd be, you go here today, next time you go another one, try a different. I have in the past hired massagers to go to people's homes and help a person, so I know that there is a health benefit for that when people are bedridden or something, so. And they may have a shop where they don't have a lot of customers, but they do house calls, so.
And my licensing experts here did correct me that if they have one space, multiple business owners, but they're sharing one space, running their own business out of the same space, they would be exempt.
Okay.
So I think that helps with your
All
concerns.
right. Okay, I think we have given direction.
Oh, wait, you're going to.
Oh, here
Chief has
comes
something to
Chief.
say.
Here he is.
Just as a point of clarification to make sure we're following the intent of council. So if we, under this ordinance, don't allow for correctable, we do take away some discretion to be able to, for some of the ones you could fix. So if there is a violation, there'd be an immediate fine. There wouldn't
Like
be.
they didn't post their notice or something like that.
So right now, all of them would fall under correctable because we use the notice to abate. The section that they're looking to change would also be the same section we use for many code enforcement things. So the ability to designate correctable versus non-correctable would allow for us to be reasonable for some stuff that does take time to fix, while using non-correctable for some of those things where we want to speed up the time frame. So if they're all non-correctable, it takes away some of that wiggle room and some of the ability to work with the owner.
And I want to, backpedal a little bit after getting some clarification that, independent operators who are operating out of the same building would be exempt, then I'd be fine with the 1,000 whatever, right? I just didn't want to penalize, individual contractors. And with that, then we wouldn't need the immediate, violation. So thank you for that correction, because I would have, that's kind of bad.
I'm trying to understand what you just said. So correctable means that you wouldn't have to be the bad guy. You could, so one of the requirements was to post notices about human trafficking. So let's say you got in there and they didn't have the notice up about human trafficking. That's correctable, correct?
Probably.
They just got to put a notice up.
They would have to do it, they would have 2 weeks to find the notice and post the notice.
So is that considered correctable?
Yeah,
Or not?
that would be a good example. Or if they had a bell chime on their door, well, actually, that might be a non-correctable, but
A security camera just broke.
something like that. Or they didn't have the proper, like you said, they didn't have the proper posting or something. We could still be reasonable with those issues and look at that. And then the section that we're changing is also the same section we use for most of our other municipal codes as well. So it would allow us to designate other codes too as non-correctable. We'd obviously would bring those in front of you at a certain point. But it does give that correlation, because right now, for instance, I think they brought up the illicit uniform. Right now, we'd go in there, you're clearly in violation, but I have to give you 2 weeks to put clothes on. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So we'd want those to be non-correctable. But for other items, for the business owner who just had a mistake or just had an issue that they could fix, and we can be reasonable with them, we can make those things correctable. We could also do things where first offense is correctable, second offense is non-correctable, things like that. But if we go just straight non-correctable, you might unintentionally be more severe than you intend. That was my only piece.
Okay, so you want us to look like Sacramento County on that issue?
That
Because
would be
Roseville has an X there, so.
That would be my recommendation, yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
No, they don't
Okay,
have-
so I think with this additional discussion, we're looking at still no density control. That's what I hear just from everyone else. And then shift to have it be the version that Sacramento County practices for the correctable versus
Yes.
non-correctable.
So check mark on everything but destiny control,
Correct, yeah.
density control.
Okay, does that seem like enough direction? Perfect.
Sounds good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Chief. All right, next item, please.
Next item is department reports. There are none. Next, we have city manager items.
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Ash Finney, your city manager. I do have one quick update for you. We are going to have a road closure associated with a SMUD project. And this is going to get out on our social media, and we're going to make sure the public knows. But it's coming up, and it's going to be on Sunrise Boulevard, so we're wanting to make sure to get the word out. It'll occur on Monday, March 2nd, from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. They have a major transformer that they're going to be replacing, and so they're going to need to do an off-hauling operation and need to have a road closure in that area. And so it would be from the SMUD station that's located on Sunrise Boulevard north of Arcadia Drive. And so that'll extend from Sayonara to Arcadia/Sun Hill intersection in all northbound and all southbound lanes. So it'll be a complete closure during that time. We will have detour signs up in the area and ensure that things are handled in an orderly manner. And then we'll, like I said, we're going to post the closure details on social media and continue to get the word out. But if you're listening to this meeting, please, on Monday, March 2nd, don't plan to be on Sunrise Boulevard between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. Find an alternate route.
How am I supposed to get home?
We will find a specific route for you to get home. Absolutely. We will have detours to get people to where they need to go. It just may be not the normal path.
Well, I want to know, Councilmember, or Vice Mayor, what you're doing out 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Maybe I'm getting a massage. I don't know. Please.
I hope not. All right, next item, please.
Next item is items requested by council members, future agenda items.
All right, do we have any future items, questions about items? Okay. And do we have any further items? All right, so without any
There was
additional.
one other thing. So I wanted to announce, isn't Rosario having a community meeting coming up? Hang on, let me look. Let me look.
I don't have that.
If that is happening, we'll make sure that it gets posted. I'm just going to look real quick to see if we've got something coming up.
Has it reached? Yeah, she's
It's actually,
March 3, I have
yes,
her.
thank you for identifying that. It'll be here in the city council chambers on Tuesday, March 3rd, starting at 5 PM. So that'll be Supervisor Rodriguez doing one for community meetings here in the chamber again,
Yeah,
Tuesday the 3rd, starting at 5 PM
yep, 5 PM.
here at City Hall. Thank you, Councilmember Karpinski-Costa.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
Yes, thank you for that. All right, and with that as our final comment, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.